Thank you. I am Lynne Durham and I am a certified life coach, and cutting to the chase, since experiencing my own burnout and overwhelm and leaving my six-figure corporate career that I'd had for 28 years uncharacteristically in tears. I can still remember driving home but I've processed that now. I've been passionate about preventing others from going through the same overwhelm and burnout. And today I did mention that I was going to talk about what happens when you keep questioning yourself and how to stop questioning yourself. So I want to suggest, I'm going to give you three ways that I help my clients stop questioning themselves. But first of all, I'd love you to have an idea. I'd love you to imagine if it was easy. What if it was easy to stop questioning and doubting most of what you do? Just plant that seed. And if you want to play along, I would love you to think of one major question that comes up. Maybe it's already popped into your head when I talk about questioning and doubting, and I want you to write it down for later, or you could just try and remember it. And today I'm going to share with you, as I said, 3 steps I take my clients through so they get to stop questioning and doubting most of what they do. I'm also going to share some client stories, but the names aren't real because it's all private and confidential, but the situations are very real. So I have found that the simplest way to explain it is when we are born, we need to survive. And when we cry, we need something. Like we cry when we need something. And that is when something isn't right, when we seek a resolution. And when we don't need anything, we just kind of swan around ignoring life. Life just ticks along. And because we are wired that way to survive, we are overly attentive to what might be going wrong. So now I fully support paying attention to what is going wrong, and I fully support being aware and to know what is safe. Safety is always number one, but problems happen when our mismanaged mind runs amok. It's kind of like a toddler in a china shop, just running around smashing things, completely oblivious. And the only person that's really stressed, well, 2 people, the parent and the owner of the shop, they're going mental about it. So, and research tells us that we think on average 70,000 thoughts every day, that Sophia alluded to earlier. And of those thoughts, an average of 35,000 of them are somewhat conscious decision-making thoughts. So imagine even questioning half of them. That's 17,000 thoughts that we get to question and doubt. And brain science tells us that the brain uses more energy than any other human organ. So if we're using a lot of our energy questioning and doubting our decisions, it's no wonder that we're often exhausted. And some of those approximately 70,000 thoughts every day are on autopilot. And that works for some things. I don't want to have to think about what thumb and finger muscles to use a pen, but I do want to have to think about things that affect my life. So step 1 to shifting from questioning everything we do is awareness. And it involves noticing our thoughts. The ones that we have on repeat. A belief is a thought that we have thought so often we think it's true. This way, to stop questioning and doubting your thoughts and to save energy is to become aware. So it's kind of like thinking about thinking, and it's done by allowing rather than efforting. So my clients get to spend an hour each week focusing on their life and their thoughts, and they get to identify their limiting thoughts. And as I said, all coaching is confidential. And so I'll share a story about someone I'll call Peter, who came to coaching because she was tired of not being able to get off what she called the hamster wheel of working at work and then working at home. She just wanted a better way. She couldn't find it on her own. Through coaching, Peter identified her predominant thought that was on continual rotation was, "It's all up to me." And that might seem like a pretty innocent thought, but when you filter all of the other thoughts through that predominant thought of "it's all up to me," you can see where that's leading. I mean, it meant anything that came in towards her, she thought she had to solve or resolve or do. And so it was no wonder she felt like she was on a hamster wheel, because she was, and it was all of her own making, inadvertently, of course. So her first step was to become aware. Each time there is something to do or a decision to make, she got to notice when that thought appeared. I mean, initially it starts off noticing it afterwards, but then you get to be expert at it. And from awareness, Peter got to decide exactly when and where she wanted to do a task, or she wanted to relegate it, or she wanted to delegate it, or to drop it. Peter realized that she did have help all along and she just couldn't see it. It was all just wrapped in the murky layer of it's all up to me. And so Peter is able to work when she works and be at home when she's at home. And sometimes she still works really long hours because she works for herself, but she's aware of it. And it's because she wants to be there and wants to do it. She's no longer feeling a victim to her circumstance. So as I said, step one is awareness. And working with a coach brings that awareness to you. I don't think I would have ever noticed my limiting thoughts if I hadn't been working with my coach. And I'm happy to bore you with them one day on a one-to-one if you want to ask me about them. So that's step one. Step two is about being uncomfortable. Step two is to stop questioning everything we are thinking, is about feeling your feelings. And my husband Paul likes to joke that men don't have feelings, and my response to that is actually most of us kind of don't have feelings because we're taught to squash them. We're taught as children to be quiet, to not laugh too loud, to not cry. We're kind of told to stop feeling our feelings. And so one of the really important things I've learned as a coach, and I help my clients see, is that feeling their feelings and processing them is one of the keys to resolving everything. And I would love you to do a quick check-in with yourself. Remember that question I asked you to think about at the start? I want you to check in and ask yourself, when you think about that question, how do you feel? Like, where do you feel it? What feelings come up? Most of what we do is to move towards or away from a feeling. We want to feel happy moving towards it. We want to move away from feeling sad. We want to move towards feeling successful. We want to move away from feeling failure. Basically, we do want to feel comfortable and we don't want to feel uncomfortable. And ironically, avoiding feelings is sometimes what is stopping us from moving on. So So like another client, I'll call Tina, who came to me because she thought she'd give coaching a go. She didn't think she needed coaching. And I'd like to say nobody needs coaching. Nobody needs fixing. It's just about living a better life. Tina was surprised when she soon identified that she had a massive fear of failure, and it was actually blocking her from anything. It was blocking her success. And her fear led her to questioning everything and not trusting any of her decisions. Her fear of failure was debilitating. Tina learned how to safely feel her feelings and process them, and was able to trust her choices. And being able to feel her fear and process it in the safe space of the coaching session allowed Tina to move through her discomfort, and it taught her the world didn't actually end when she felt failure or when she felt the fear. And she's now able to process feelings as they come up, because feelings always happen. It's about how we process them. So that's step two. And the last step I'm sharing here today is to stop questioning and self-doubt. It's a really quick one. I wouldn't mind a check-in because I forgot to put my timer on, Paul. How long have I got?
2 minutes, 20 seconds.
Okay, beautiful. So the last thing is on evaluating. So when we learn from our actions and our inactions, we get to find out what worked, what didn't work, and what we will do differently. So a simple process, and I have a handout that I can give you if you want it, a simple process that just takes some doing, like most things that are worthwhile, they just take doing. Evaluating creates knowledge of what you will do next time. When you learn from what you've done, then you get to do things differently. When we learn to manage our thoughts and our feelings and to evaluate our outcomes, each decision doesn't need questioning, because you know that you'll either be learning or growing or succeeding, like all of the good things that get you moving forwards. And it really is pretty amazing. So don't get me wrong. Actually, I forgot to move on the slides. That was the evaluate one. That's number 3. So don't get me wrong. I may be making this sound simple, and it's because it is simple, but it's just not easy. I spent half of my life not knowing this, and now I do, and I've completely changed the trajectory of my life, and that's what I help my clients do. And so if you know anyone, or if you know somebody who is looking for a solution, I offer a 1-hour free consultation, and I'll take you through a process where you will talk and I will listen. And through the process, I will be able to let you know what thought is keeping you stuck on repeat, and I'll be able to let you know the steps to change it. And then if we're a fit, we can talk about coaching together. You can ask about that. And I just wanted to mention that you might notice my logo is a lotus, and I've always been drawn to a lotus because for me, a lotus represents hope and rebirth and wellness and new beginnings. And I have also a free handout called New Beginnings. I love helping my clients enjoy new beginnings in their lives. And if I'm still going, my ideal referrals, I work with professionals who are busy ensuring their clients and others around them are well taken care of. And all too often, too frequently, they are not taking enough care of themselves. It's the hardest thing to do, to stop doing for everyone else and start doing for you. So I love helping my clients discover how to put on their own oxygen mask. And so in doing so, they're able to provide even more love and support to themselves, their families, their friends, and of course, their clients. So as I finish up, I would like to check in with the question that you thought of or wrote down earlier. Which of these 3 steps will you apply to move past the constant self-doubt and move into empowered decision-making? Book in a one-to-one and let me know what questions that you have now. And thank you for listening.